You know, in the wild world of quantum computing, one of the biggest headaches has always been the cold. But what if the very thing that's supposed to mess everything up, that constant disruptive buzz we call noise, could actually be turned into a super cooling tool? Well, a recent breakthrough did exactly that, flipping a massive problem completely on its head.
All right, let's get into it. First, we're going to look at why keeping these things cold is such a fundamental challenge. Then, we'll dive into the radical new approach that actually makes friends with the noise. After that, we'll take a peek inside the quantum refrigerator itself. And finally, we'll see how this whole thing could pave the way for scaling up this incredible technology.
So let's start right at the beginning with the problem itself, what I'm calling quantum's deep freeze dilemma. To really get why the solution is so cool, you first have to appreciate just how massive this challenge really is.
And look, this is not just some minor technical detail. It is the absolute foundation of a quantum computer's power. Its ability to solve problems that are way beyond the reach of even our best supercomputers. That all depends on it operating in an environment colder than anything you'd find in nature.
I mean, we are talking about temperatures colder than deep space. We're just fractions of a degree above absolute zero. It's only when you get this cold that materials can become superconducting, letting electricity flow without any resistance, and those fragile quantum states can actually exist. And at the heart of all this, you've got the qubits. These are the basic building blocks of quantum information, and their magic trick is existing in multiple states at once, a property we call superposition. That's what gives these computers their insane potential. But all that power comes at a price. They're incredibly fragile. And this right here is the villain of our story, quantum noise. Any bit of unwanted energy, whether it's from leftover heat, tiny vibrations, or some stray electromagnetic interference, can instantly cause a qubit superposition to just collapse. It destroys the information it's holding and can ruin the whole computation. So this leads us to a really tricky paradox. As you try to build bigger and more powerful quantum computers, you need more complicated cooling systems, more control systems. But those very systems generate their own noise and heat, which creates this vicious cycle that makes scaling up incredibly difficult. So how in the world do you break out of that cycle? Well, researchers at Chalmers University of Technology in Sweden looked at this whole paradox, and they decided to take a completely different path. Instead of trying to fight the noise, they decided to make it an ally. Now, this is what's so interesting. It's a total shift in thinking. The old way, the conventional way, was always about fighting noise. Try to isolate it, shield against it, get rid of it at all costs. But the new way is to actually harness it, tame that disruptive energy, and put it to work. And this isn't just some crazy idea they pulled out of thin air. It's actually rooted in a concept called Brownian refrigeration. As one of the researchers, Simone Gaspernetti, explains, the theory has been around for a while. The idea that you could somehow harness all those random little jiggles of energy to actually create a cooling effect. And this work, it's the closest anyone has ever gotten to making that theory a reality. So how did they do it? How did they build a device that literally runs on the very thing it's designed to protect against? Let's take a look inside this amazing little quantum machine. The core of this refrigerator isn't made of what you'd normally think of. It's a custom-built superconducting artificial molecule. But instead of atoms, it's made of two coupled qubits, specifically transmons, which are a really stable kind of superconducting qubit that they can control with amazing precision. And this table really lays out the architecture of the machine brilliantly. You've got a cold reservoir. That's the area you want to cool down. You've got a hot reservoir. That's where you dump all the excess heat. And then crucially, there's a third channel, the work reservoir. That's where they inject the controlled noise. That little artificial molecule sits right in the middle, and it acts like the pump that moves heat from one place to another. The process itself is it's really elegant. First, they inject carefully controlled microwave noise into that work channel. This noise basically acts as fuel, and it gets that artificial molecule going. Then, the energized molecule starts pumping heat out of the cold channel and dumps it into the hot one. The result? A net cooling effect right where they need it most. Okay, so a tiny refrigerator powered by noise. What does this actually mean for the future? Well, this is where it all comes together to tackle that huge challenge of scaling up quantum computers.
See, the real breakthrough here isn't just that it cools, but the incredible level of control it gives them. This device lets scientists manage thermal energy at the quantum level with a kind of precision that was just totally impossible before now.
The amount of heat they're managing here is measured in attowatts. To give you an idea, that's a billionth of a billionth of a watt. It is an almost incomprehensibly small amount of energy.
And this quote from the study's lead author, Simon Sunderland, really puts that number into perspective. It just highlights the mind-boggling scale that this refrigerator is working on, manipulating energy flows that are so small, they're almost impossible to imagine. So why is this such a big deal? Well, it's a total game changer. You can now manage heat directly inside the quantum circuits themselves, which massively improves qubit stability and performance. This just smashes a huge barrier to scaling up, the kind of scaling we need to tackle enormous problems in things like drug discovery and new materials. And get this, it's not just a fridge. This tool is so versatile it can also be used as a heat engine or an amplifier, which just paves the way for so many more powerful and reliable quantum technologies. So, when you get right down to it, this is way more than just a clever little cooling device. By taking a relentless enemy, quantum noise, and turning it into a precise, powerful tool, this research represents a giant leap forward in our ability to actually engineer the quantum world.